In a world where the news gets twisted, John and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices feel less and bold, turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade, they tackle the issues with humor and wit. In unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, shining light.
The final part of the debate is called the stare down. Each candidate looks in the eyes of the other candidate, and whoever turns away is the chicken. You know the rules. Let's begin. May the best man win. Wow. Why did you give up so easily, Governor? Are you admitting that you are, in fact, a chicken shit?
You know, I come from a middle-class home.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
How good did J.D. Vance do the other night? Didn't he do great? I drafted the best athlete. You know, Vince Lombardi, you say, go for the best athlete. But I had 12 people that would have been fantastic. But J.D. did a fantastic job at the debate.
Yeah, he certainly did, John. He certainly did. He wiped the floor with Tim Walz.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. It was really distinct, the difference between these two men. One looked like a future president on his way to stardom, and one looked like the guy who had been hiding in a closet his entire life and was at a high school debate. His facial expressions were sad. He constantly looked surprised and afraid. It was just two completely different people.
There was a number of times, John, where he looked like a deer in the headlights. I mean, literally.
Yeah. And this is just like impression-wise, right? This is just you observing it. Policy-wise, he also cleaned his clock. Minnesota has like the highest corporate taxes. Minnesota has the highest cost for starting a new business. Minnesota has the worst record on abortion. They're saying that Republicans are going to lose on abortion rights, but in Minnesota, there have been almost a dozen women who have died died during abortions over the past couple of years, I think, and also tons of babies that have been born alive through an attempted abortion and then killed afterwards or allowed to die. All that was like, that's all because of his policies, right? It's also one of those states which is aggressively transgenderized. So these are worlds apart, these two guys, in policy and in demeanor. And one has a bright future, and the other one looks a couple years younger than Joe Biden. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what's the difference between him and Joe Biden?
No.
Right? He lies like Joe Biden. He's a stolen valor guy. Right? He admitted that he was a knucklehead. The guy admitted he was a knucklehead. How much like Joe Biden can you get when you're calling yourself a knucklehead because you can't tell the truth?
No.
So yeah, incredible. Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. I am School Board Member John Arguello, and this is my great friend Citizen Tom. And Citizen Tom and I are going to talk about the news and all the things going on throughout our nation over this past week. So thank you for joining us. Please like and share the show while you're watching. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right down to it. Lord, wow. There are two paths ahead of us. One of them is clearly better than the other. And we hope that the American people see this. And even though there may be challenges on the way to victory, we hope that people stand up and make sure that they do their part to ensure the right thing happens, that truth and justice and Americanism prevails. And that's what we need. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
What do we got first?
All right, let's get into some news. All right, John. So we're not going to go over the entire debate. There's a lot to take away from the debate. It was a great debate, at least for J.D. Vance. But we will highlight a couple of things that did happen at the debate. And one of them is this one right here. He called out the moderators for lying to the audience, and then CBS immediately muted him. And, it's just ridiculous. But let's watch this.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
Thank you.
Senator, we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
We're
because
going to turn now to the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. And just
Well, they were so pleased with themselves that they cut the mics. You see those smiles on their faces. Just let them debate. You guys said you weren't going to fact check them, and sure enough, you did. Sad.
Yeah, well, here's the crazy. I mean, they didn't allow him to be clear about what he was telling you. He's telling you, people are talking about these Haitians as if these are people that went to the embassy, filed their documentation to come to the United States, and then came. That's not the case. They came here illegally in many cases. Then they filed the paperwork, and without even a process, they accepted them, and they became. But everybody right now is here legally, right? Like all these people are scrambling. I'll tell you what. I was putting up a sign prior to the primary season, right? One of my wife's signs, I was putting her sign up, and a guy came up on a bike, and he was telling me that he's an illegal alien that has a work permit, and he was asking me if he could work putting up signs for me. Okay, and he was from Colombia. So this is not like only places where they need TPS or anything like that. These people are coming across the border, getting work permits, and undercutting all Americans' jobs. That's what's important. Now imagine a community of 57,000 and then 20,000 Haitians airdrop into the community overnight. with work permits, that's going to destroy the economy. It's going to destroy paychecks. Yeah. So, I mean, come on. They're fact-checking him, but they're not fact-checking the Biden administration.
Yeah. And that's one thing, John, is they said they weren't going to do fact checks at this debate.
They're liars.
Sure enough, they did. You know, they can't help themselves. They're so beholden to the liberal ideals and the liberal causes. But anyway, one thing that surprised me, John, is that most of the media, the legacy media, agreed that J.D. Vance won this debate. Here is a quick supercut of the media's reaction to this debate.
There is no doubt in my mind, however Governor Walz did in terms of sincerity, that Vance won this debate.
Does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth? No.
They were talking at one point. Vance wanted to correct something about how Haitians got into this country. And he was right, and the moderators wouldn't let him correct it. It's very interesting.
But at the beginning, the two issues driving the campaign right now are Harris has a big deficit on the economy, Harris has a big deficit on immigration, and Republicans were happy tonight and Democrats a little bit nervous that on those two issues, Vance carried it.
J.D. Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
It's the audacity. I
agree with you that
we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, "Stop it! Stop! Are you effing kidding me?" And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just. This is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see.
Well, almost all of the legacy media. MSNBC still had a meltdown, but basically everyone else agreed. I mean, Tim Walz performed so poorly that they couldn't deny it. They had to admit that J.D. Vance won.
Yeah, they had to at least save some kind of face, right? And I mean, when the criteria is normally you have to pick somebody worse than you. I don't think that he's worse than Kamala. I think he's as bad because you can't get any worse than Kamala, right? Biden had to find Kamala because she was worse than him. and the polls suggest that she's worse than him, which is why she was such a great pick for him because he's notoriously bad at everything. And now Tim Walz can't be any worse. He's on the floor, so they're equally bad. If he had a laugh, like a nervous laugh, the way that Kamala cackles, I think that then, he would have destroyed the entire campaign during that debate.
Yeah. And there were rumors that were before the debate that he was very nervous going into the debate, that he was not prepared, he didn't feel comfortable debating, that, he was very worried about this debate. And I guess that...
For good reason.
Yeah, for good reason. It's shown through. J.D. Vance kicked his butt. I mean, that's about it we're going to cover on this debate. But if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's worth watching.
We'll stream it live tomorrow night for you, maybe, or another night. We'll put it on. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, instead of hunting for it, you can come here and we'll stream it for you.
Absolutely. One other thing that happened this weekend, John. The Democrats showed their hand multiple times. All right, multiple times. Democrats have shown their hand over this weekend. They have a 3-step plan to radically transform our country. And we've gone over this a couple of times on the America Show. We've talked about this in different segments, different news reports. Number 1, reprogram your brain by taking over the media. Number 2, tear up that Constitution. It's no good anymore. And number 3, dissolve the Supreme Court. Who needs them, right, John? Here they are. Listen to these Democrats.
Kamala won't tell us what her vision for the country is, but her Democrat friends will. Hillary Clinton wants to reprogram your brain by taking control of the media.
The press needs a consistent narrative about the danger that Trump poses. Because, people may still look at the danger and say, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm going to vote for X, Y, or Z. But okay. But at least people need to be woken up and given the facts about what he has done.
Now, before you take over the media, you need to get rid of that pesky Constitution. The New Yorker asks if it's time to torch it. John Kerry would rather hit it with a hammer.
Look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
Now, the Supreme Court would probably not let you put the Constitution in a shredder. But Democrats say, get rid of them too.
Biden's still the president. No one seems to notice. But Biden should dissolve the Supreme Court.
Dissolve the Supreme Court?
I'm the president.
Come on, is she crazy?
Like you said, and go home.
They just clapped when she said dissolve the Supreme Court. So the same people that say Trump wants to be a dictator want to end free speech, kill the Constitution, and blow up the court. That's a threat to democracy. Trump jokes that he'll be dictator on day one. They're not joking. They want to be dictator for life. Listen to them. This is the party that wants to go into your home, take your gun, take your money before you sell your stock, and then ban the kind of car you want to drive. If you want to know how this ends up, look at the place Kamala pretends to have grown up. Oakland, California. Every sports franchise left that city. The Warriors, the Raiders, the Oakland A's. Kamala's heart's broken.
What's your feelings on all three of the teams out of Oakland now?
Oh, it breaks
Not having
my
a sports
heart.
team.
It breaks my heart. Remember, we used to have all of
The
them.
best.
We used to have all of them. And you just drive by that area, when I go to Oakland, when I go to the Bay Area.
It's sad.
And if
I
you
get
like
sad.
land at Oakland Airport and just pass Coliseum, it breaks my heart.
Well, it's policies like hers that are to blame. Progressive politicians turned California into a joke. Kids are transitioning behind their parents' backs. They're throwing homeless happy hours, free booze for drunks. Criminals are getting away with everything. Kamala killed the California dream. And if she's elected,
she'll kill your dream. That's basically it, John. The funny thing about Kamala Harris is she's so phony. She is not a real person. She's not like an ideologue like Bernie Sanders or somebody like that. She is just a puppet. She will play to whatever master. That's why her policy changes from day to day. But these other folks like Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, they really want to do this stuff. Democrats really want to do this stuff, John.
I agree completely. I think that we've all seen that Kamala Harris doesn't have any thoughts of her own, right? If she's in Texas, she's going to speak like she was born in Texas. When she's in California, she talks about the Oakland A's and she's being heartbroken that they left. I've been to more Oakland A's games than she has. She talks about if she's in New Orleans, she loves Cajun food, right? She is whoever's in front of her. That's what she is, right? She's just a mirror, and an empty mirror. One that has a very horrendous reflection. But John Kerry is an intellectual leftist. Okay? He's part of the movement, the vision for Democrats. Okay? And this is a man who ran for president. Thank God he did not win. Thank you, Lord, that he did not win. Because now we know what he is. He's a wannabe dictator, and you can tell because he's an elitist. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Provided by his wife in a marriage that he gained through marriage. He is 100% elitist, okay? 100% elitist. And that's his frame of mind. And that's exactly, it's just like these communists in 1917 revolutionary Russia, right? These are the people that founded those nations. They think that they're better than everyone else. They have an idea, and they're going to force that idea down everyone's throat. And if you don't like it, they would rather kill you than to hear what your idea is. And that's what that's why. These three things, he didn't just say it. When I saw that tweet, I was like, come on, that's going too far. Let's not exaggerate. I don't want to be this show about exaggeration unless we're joking, right? But he pointed out them saying it from their own mouths. They're not joking. When they say dissolve the Supreme Court, they're not joking. When they say tear up the Constitution, Kerry wasn't joking when he said right there that the First Amendment is an obstacle. The First Amendment is why this country exists. The First Amendment is why this country, if we got rid of all the other amendments, but we had the First Amendment, this country could still survive as long as we also have the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
So this is catastrophic. It's catastrophic. These things are catastrophes for our nation. They are the end of our nation. What they want to do is they want to change. They talk about democracy. But you know who else uses democracy in the name of their government? North Korea. That's the kind of democracy they're thinking, right? North Korea, the official name of North Korea is the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. And that's what they want. That's what they want. They want a Korean democracy of communist dictatorship. That's what they want. And they're proving it here. And it's just heartbreaking to hear Americans on the national stage talk about the First Amendment is an obstacle. It's not an obstacle. It's a wall against all the heathens coming over the ramparts. That's what it is. It's a wall of defense that American citizens have defended themselves with for 250 years. That's what the First Amendment is. It's not something. It's not an inconvenience for somebody who thinks that they're too smart or so much better than every other American on the street.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And the funny thing is this is the reason why you've seen so many Democrats, prominent Democrats, leave the Democrat Party, is because of statements like this, because of positions like this that they take. That people like Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, that have said, no, this is not the Democrat Party that I knew, that I was a part of. This doesn't speak to me. It's not what I'm about. I'm out. And that's why you've seen them come to President Trump, join forces with him, because they see it's about America First policies. They don't agree on everything. Just like me and you don't agree on everything. Just like me and my mom don't agree on everything. Me and my wife don't agree on everything. You're not supposed to. But they agree on core principles.
My wife agrees with everything I've ever said.
Then you're one lucky man. And your wife is an awesome human being, so you are a lucky man. So, anyway, these people are ridiculous. This is what you get in November. If you vote the wrong way and you give these people another 4 years, believe me, we're in big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah.
So, John, we had...
You know what? I think...
Yeah.
Tom, I think that one of the things that you said is really true. And it might be even worse when you said that these people, that's why they come over, right? They come over because they hear things like this, right? But I think that they're on the verge of leaving when they're hearing these things. But they're also looking at places like California where they make these things true, right? And we're going to talk about that in coming up. So these people are absolutely, they're already, if you look at them as governors, they're passing laws that they want to implement across the entire country. And those laws are extremely, extremely fascist. They're dictator-like. They're like communist dictatorships like you would see in Eastern Europe, 40 years ago.
Absolutely. Well, John, we had the hurricane come through here in Florida this past week, but we didn't really feel the brunt of it. But our neighbors to the north did. Yeah. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, parts of Georgia, they really have suffered. At this point, John, up to 200 people have died because of Hurricane Helene. And FEMA has announced that they do not have the funds to help Americans make it through hurricane season. Now, hurricane season is nowhere near over. We have up until November. We still have a full month, and we have another hurricane on the way, it looks like, in the Gulf. Not sure where it's going, but they're saying that this is due to the fact that $640.9 million in FEMA administrative funds have been spent on illegal immigrants. And here's a look at some of the damage of Hurricane Helene. Just unbelievable. I mean, to think this could have been us here in Florida. And thankfully it wasn't. But one of the really heartbreaking stories, and there's a ton of them, a ton of heartbreaking stories out of this hurricane and what happened here. Asheville, North Carolina is completely destroyed. But there was a report, they were talking to this mother who lost her son, her 7-year-old son, and this Fox weather anchor started crying live on the air as the mother described the final moments of her son's life before he was swept away by the flooding from Hurricane Helene. Heartbreaking. Watch this.
I'm so proud of my son because in his last moments, he wasn't screaming for me. He was screaming, Jesus, Jesus, save me. Jesus, I hear you. Jesus, I'm calling upon you. And his wildest dreams and everything that he wanted to be was a superhero. And that was his goal in life. And instead, he's my hero because he reached for something past flesh, past human, past anything that even grown adults, I think, would reach for. My son called out to the one God Almighty. And I think at that moment he was rescued and he became my hero. And I think all of them carried me through that moment. I think that his biggest dreams, he was the smartest, bravest, hopeful, great friend, great son. I couldn't have asked for a better son. And he was so happy up until the very end when he was screaming for Jesus. And in that moment, I think he found joy.
The innocence of children is actually quite spectacular. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it is. Marissa being a mother too, Megan and Heather, I do, amidst the tragedy, your parents as well, Jessica included.
7-year-old Micah was stuck on a roof with his family. Him and his grandparents got swept away by the flooding. And to me, that child is a superhero. It's just unbelievable, the stories coming out of here and just seeing the devastation. It's unreal, John.
Oh my gosh, it really is. These things really, they test the community, the fabric of the community. And it's hard to be dealing with these issues when you have a country that is unraveling, right, from this transition, this political transition that we're in right now between people who love this country and people who hate this country, essentially. And it reminds you that there's a lot of things that are more important than politics, right? But now we look at how we help these families, and this is when it's important to understand that the American identity is one of family. It's not about race. It's not about ethnicity. It's not about background. It's not about socioeconomic class. It's not about any of those things. The Americans are all about the American spirit, the American way of life, which is, you get to achieve what you want out of life. And this is a life that ended too soon. And I don't know that it could have been prevented. This isn't something that is someone's fault. But what's really terrible is when people try to take advantage or manipulate this moment of pain from a community and convert it into something else. But we pray for them, and that's a heartbreaking story. I'm also a dad. I have 5 kids, and it's a heartbreaking story.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly is, John. Certainly is. And, the Biden-Harris administration says that they have these people's back. And, oops, I almost cut to the video too soon. But they say that they are going to offer $750 to these Americans who have lost everything.
Wow.
Lost their homes, lost everything due to the flooding from Hurricane Helene. They're going to offer them $750. This comes...
Is that lump sum, Tom, or are they going to make payments on that?
That's a good question. This comes as Biden is now bragging that he's providing 67 Starlink satellites to these impacted communities. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Starlink satellites because this is a real scumbag move by President Biden. But watch this, John.
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
I've also directed the development of deployment of Starlink satellites. 50 are in place right now. More are going to be put in place so people in places like Canton can call for help and reach the ones that love loved ones who they're not sure of anybody other than that phone because there's no cell service.
What a stupid mistake it was for Americans who voted for Biden. Any American that voted for Biden needs to slap themselves across the forehead right now. This is a demonstration. Listen, Biden's reaction to this storm is worse than Bush's reaction to Hurricane Katrina. Right? I mean, he took so much heat for his reaction to how he dealt with Katrina. Biden's is far worse. Okay, number one, he looks completely uninterested. Number two, he takes credit, just like he did when he was in law school. He takes credit for things that are not his, including the Starlink situation. But let me just say this: number one, they're running out of money, obviously, right? He's talking about what they could be doing. You know why they haven't been flying helicopters like crazy to North Carolina, dropping off supplies for all those people? Like crazy. Like I'm talking about dozens and dozens of helicopters dropping pallets and pallets of supplies, water and food and everything to all those places, because all that is within reach of a United States Army helicopter, a CH-47 Chinook. All of that is in reach of any base that they can go there and drop all that stuff off. The reason they're not doing it is because all of our supplies are in the Ukraine. Yeah. That's the one reason why they don't have flying helicopters all over the place. They should have all these military vehicles getting in there. Bridges don't matter. You don't need a bridge for a helicopter. They could be loaded. If they can drop off a pallet of water to me in the foothills of the Himalaya mountains of Afghanistan, they can drop them off here in North Carolina where they're needed the most. And they should be. There should be no excuse. There should be an absolute raising up of all of our capacity to help these people, but they can't. They can't. They don't even have the knowledge. They don't have the will. They don't have the interest to do it. And for me, it's a shame. This reminds me, in Nicaragua, there was an earthquake in 1972 that destroyed the entire capital. It set it on fire. Tens of thousands of people died. It destroyed the entire country, this earthquake. And the president took the money, pocketed it, and practically left the country. That's what this reminds me of.
And John, I talked about the Starlink satellites and the Starlink units. This was worked out by Elon Musk and President Trump. This was not worked out by Biden. So Biden taking the credit for this is, like I said, a scumbag move on his part. Even Elon Musk blasted the FCC for illegally pulling Starlink's award, saying it would have helped these victims of Hurricane Helene. Access will be free for the people in these areas affected. And, Elon Musk on Wednesday said the Federal Communications Commission's decision to not move forward with an award for SpaceX's Starlink to provide rural broadband may have cost lives in North Carolina when it was hit by Hurricane Helene. He responded to a post on X from a user who noted that North Carolina would have 19,522 working Starlink kits available today after Hurricane Helene had the FCC not revoked in bad faith the grant that was awarded to SpaceX as the winning bidder. Had the FCC not illegally revoked the SpaceX Starlink award, it would probably have saved lives in North Carolina. Lawfare costs lives. And I couldn't agree more. Here is Ivanka Trump out there delivering Starlink kits to those affected by the hurricane. Amazing work.
It's crazy. Instead of 19,000 units, they have 50. No. Thanks, Joe Biden. No. And purely what he's saying is that this is lawfare. It's basically that the reason that they didn't happen is because he endorsed President Trump. And he's supporting President Trump, and that's why they decided that they were going to, put the kibosh on this partnership and access for these rural people in North Carolina that would have had 19,000 units on the ground, ready to go.
It's unreal, John. It's unreal. And I mentioned earlier,
criminal.
I mentioned earlier that there's no more FEMA money, right? You don't have to just take it from me.
We're talking about that,
or by what that guy posted on X. Here is Mayorkas himself saying there is no FEMA money left for the victims of Hurricane Helene. and there's none left for any other hurricane victims going forward. They spent $1 billion of the FEMA money on illegal migrants. Here he is.
Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
Wow.
$1 billion. Listen, can you imagine this is it's criminal. It is. It's criminal. This money, this FEMA money was not for migrants, and they spent that money here. We've been complaining about that. They've given money. All the money that they're giving to Ukraine and to migrants in our country, it is practically criminal. How can you do that? You're going to run out of money. Here's the worst thing. And this is why I mean, listen, if I was not a mature, stable, mentally stable person, the Capitol does need to be stormed at this point, because Joe Biden literally got on camera, and this is where I would have lost it if I had been a mentally unstable person like a Democrat. Joe Biden got on television and said that the American people have to foot the bill for this because FEMA doesn't have any money. Joe Biden said that. Go and Google it. Go and Google it up. Go ahead and look it up on YouTube. Joe Biden saying that the American people got to foot the bill for this. The American people got to chip in for this. That's why we do chip in for it. It's called FEMA. It's called the federal government. American citizens create that. The federal government doesn't generate revenue. It's not a business enterprise. We put that together. And for them to tell us that we don't have the money now, when they have plenty of money when it comes to bailing out banks. They have plenty of money to send to Ukraine. Billions and billions and billions and billions. They had enough money that they could send, what was it, 400 million or 400 billion to Iran that they're building weapons with, right? Yeah, pallets of cash. Yep. Now they're giving $1 billion to illegal immigrants over the last 2 years. Who knows how much over the last 3.5 years? And now they're saying that they don't have money, and storm season's not over, and we live in Florida. This is crazy. This storm went all the way up the south. It's the idea that Joe Biden is telling American citizens that they got to pony up the cash when we put this $1 trillion government together with our cash. That's not money that he was born with. He's not a king. That's what he thinks, apparently. But we created this government, and this government is intended to pay for these times. For times like these, and the fact that they're giving it to illegal immigrants too, it just makes me sick.
Yeah, it's criminal, John. It's criminal.
It is criminal.
There's no other way to put it. I mean, just to think about all the billions of dollars they've sent to Ukraine, and all this FEMA money that they've handed out to the illegals, and here we are with this serious situation. And there's no money for it.
Illegal aliens are getting $2,500 a piece, and these American citizens who lost everything, including their children, are getting a check for $750.
That's a slap in the face. I saw a video where one guy from the Carolinas he basically said, Kamala Harris, take your $750 and wipe your you-know-what with it. And I can't blame them for feeling like that,
Yeah.
But President Trump's stepping up. He's been out there. He's been on the ground delivering supplies and goods to the people. He also started a GoFundMe for the Americans impacted by Hurricane Helene, and it surged past $900,000 in its first hour. Former U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler of Georgia made a massive donation of $500,000. Other large donations included from our own local attorney, Dan Newland, who put in $100,000. Dana White, who put in $100,000. Bass Pro Shops, which donated $100,000. And Kid Rock donated $20,000. And, it's just good work by President Trump and these great patriots here, including Bass Pro Shops. Make sure you go to Bass Pro Shops and thank them for what they're doing to help these people. The the failure of our own government under
The
President
failure
Biden.
of our government.
Just another
It's a
example.
failure.
And you have so many. You have the economy. You have this. Foreign
We
relations.
used to joke,
What's going
Tom.
on
We
in
used
the
to
Middle
joke
East.
when we start at the very beginning of the elections. We used to joke together. Remember, we used to say that everything Biden touches turns to crap.
Yeah.
Everything he touches turns. Well, now it's a matter of life and death, and he's allowing Americans to die. It got serious when those 13 military personnel died during the pullout in Afghanistan. Now we're seeing hundreds of Americans left to their own devices during a storm like this. It's incredible.
Yeah, it truly is, John. It truly is. And we pray for those people there. Hopefully we don't hear any more horror stories coming out of there, but I'm sure there is more to come, John, especially with the Biden administration involved. Anyway.
Yeah, at the helm.
Before we move on across the nation, John, and look at some other news stories, we have this important message from President Trump.
Like us, China also saw their weakness. So did Putin. Then he invaded Ukraine. Hamas saw Harris' anti-Israel statements and will use it as a green light to keep murdering Israelis. And Iran thinks Harris is so incompetent. New intel shows they're trying to help Harris win the election. America doesn't need another TikTok performer. We need the strength that will protect us.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Another great, powerful ad from President Trump. So true.
I have never seen so many good ads in a presidential campaign, one after another. One doesn't even die before another one comes out. And it's just they provide them with so much material.
Yeah. It's so true, John. All right, so I know you've seen this. Everybody's talking about this right now. 45,000 port workers are now on strike from Maine to Texas. The head of the International Longshoremen Association says, "We will cripple you." He's talking about you, the American people, and our economy. Here he is.
These people today don't know what a strike is. Right. When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, "I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you." Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Wow, what an egomaniac this guy is, huh?
Yeah.
What a monster. Yeah. He sounds like a mobster for sure, but what an egomaniac. He's talking about people's livelihoods. And here's the bottom line is that I don't think it's going to go down the way that he thinks, right? I mean, it may hurt. This may hurt. This may be painful, but what's going to happen is you're going to have all these illegal aliens that are more than happy to work for a third of the cost that the longshoremen are to go fill up those spots. You're going to have all of these illegal aliens that have work permits to go work there. That's what's going to happen. And you think that they're not going to be a better employee than some spoiled guy who's making who knows how much doing his job? And he's going to, and you know what? Here's the thing. These longshoremen, These aren't bad people or nothing. It's that their leadership. This union is out of control. I think that you're forgetting the purpose of a union, and that's what happens. All these old gangster union types. They're begging. This is like a midlife crisis for them. They're begging for some glorification to their role. But now what you're doing is making sure that nobody's getting mistreated, right? And instead of focusing on improving the lives of these longshoremen, this guy's going to try to cripple the country. He's going to lose his election at the next election. I think it's an elected office.
Yeah, John. You know, these guys, longshoremen, they average about $81,000 a year. When they went to sit down to negotiate, they demanded a 77% increase in their pay. The company came back with a 50% increase in pay. They rejected that. So, I feel like I deserve a 50% or 77, a definite increase in my pay. I know you probably think you deserve an increase in your pay, and I'm sure everybody watching at home feels like you deserve an increase in
I
your
used
pay.
to say that I would do the school board work for free. All right. But now, after having been on the school board for a few years and the school board members that I serve with, I deserve about $2 million a meeting.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that they're willing to hold our country hostage. And this is not like a life and death situation.
No,
right?
It's not.
Like if they found out that they were poisoning these guys and they're fighting for like some kind of healthcare resolution to a problem that's going on there, but it's not. This is just about money.
Yeah.
And you don't go and destroy families for money.
Yeah, or destroy our economy, especially when people are already suffering. You know, and you're making $81,000 a year, which is well more than the average median income of an average person in the United States. You were offered,
vote for Trump. You want a raise? Vote for Trump.
You were offered a 50%
that's what you should
increase, and you said no. That's crazy.
Yeah. Instead of a strike, just go get involved. Go canvass some doors for Trump.
Yeah.
Change the economy, and believe me, you'll start making more money. It'll feel like you're getting money.
Yeah.
But you want to do it at the hands of a strike? I don't know. That's a way to lose a lot of public support.
Absolutely.
And then what it does do is it helps the illegal aliens because that's who's going to get that money.
Yeah, and don't doubt for 1 minute that one of them isn't going to take one of these jobs at $81,000 a year. I mean, come on. But
they would do it for $50.
Let's take a closer look at this guy who said he's going to cripple the economy. All right? He lives in a 7,000 square foot mansion, John. Here's a picture of it.
Nice.
This is his home. Right here, that's his home. Wow, John, look at that.
Wow.
God, that is huge. What a
big, strange-shaped pool, don't you think?
Yeah,
that pool looks like something to me.
It looks kind of phallic, John.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, Harold Daggett, that's his name, this guy. He's the union boss who has vowed to cripple the U.S. economy if ports don't ban automation and raise dock workers' wages sharply. Had a Bentley convertible parked outside his sprawling mansion in New Jersey this week. These pictures were obtained by the Post. The hulking two-story mansion located on a 10-acre property in Sparta, a leafy enclave 50 miles west of New York City, encircles a spacious backyard patio with an amoeba-shaped pool. Okay, I guess that's what it's supposed to be.
I don't know about an amoeba.
He has a covered outdoor bar, is situated to what looks like a massive brick pizza oven. He makes $900,000 a year, this guy.
Wow. No wonder he's complaining. I'd go on strike too if I was making $900,000 for not working, just for representing people who are working.
Yeah. Mr. Daggett's been in trouble before too, John. They were trying to tie him to the mob, the New York, New Jersey mob a couple of years ago. They never followed up on that. Something fell through, but there were rumors this guy is connected to the mob. It wouldn't surprise me, especially throwing those threats out there the way he did, because I know that when people are suffering in this economy and you throw out a threat that you're going to cripple the economy, you better feel awfully secure.
Not good.
You better feel awfully secure in your person, for your family and everything else when you're throwing out a threat like that.
Especially in the Northeast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's him. Anyway, let's move on to something else. This federal judge has ruled that fluoride poses an unreasonable risk to children's intelligence. Now several U.S. cities are hitting pause on water fluoridation. This is
I don't know. This makes me feel like my fellow school board members are drowning in fluoride.
I think I had a drink of some water with fluoride in it a little while ago. But anyway, it says I'll tell you why, but I'm not going to tell you why. This video is going to tell you why. Here it is.
Several U.S. cities were hit a pause on water fluoridation in wake of historic federal ruling. The EPA can no longer ignore the risk of water fluoridation poses to human health. Let's talk about this. A handful of cities and counties responded quickly to a September 24th ruling by a federal judge that water fluoridation at current levels poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. Several U.S. cities, towns, and counties announced that they will stop fluoridating their water in the aftermath of the landmark court ruling that found that water fluoridation at current levels poses an unreasonable risk at reduced IQ in children. Abilene, Texas, Yorktown and Somers, New York, and the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District in Utah are among those cities and districts that responded quickly in September 24th ruling by U.S. District Judge Edward Chen. Chen ruled that the U.S. Government Environmental Protection Agency can no longer ignore the risk fluoridation poses to human, especially children's health, and that the agency must take regulatory action. The ruling stemmed from a lawsuit filed in 2017 by Fluoride Action Network, Moms Against Fluoridation, Food and Water Watch, and individual parents and children. It followed the publication of a key report by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services National Toxicology Program. Rick North, board member of the Fluoride Action Network, told the Defender that he expects more cities and towns to announce that they will end the practice of fluoridation. Fluoridation is a house of cards, and it's going to fall. North said that it's only a matter of when. Our job is to make the wind blow. The EPA, which can appeal the federal court's ruling, previously told the Defender that it is reviewing the decision and has no comment at this time. The city of Abilene announced Monday that it will immediately stop fluoridating its water supply out of an abundance of caution, according to News 4 San Antonio. In a press release issued Monday, the city said this: with potential changes to the EPA regulations, such as potential adjustments to fluoride levels or the possible introduction of warning labels, the city is pausing fluoridation to ensure compliance with new health and safety guidelines that may emerge. This temporary suspension is being implemented out of an abundance of caution to safeguard the public.
Wow.
I think this is the first step.
So fluoride,
first step to making America healthy again is getting rid of fluoride in the water.
Right. Yep. I think that they might be trying to get a jump on some of these things that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is going to be taking action on, right? Like RFK Jr., I think that this is probably one of those things where he's going to be all over it, and these people are going to pay. Fluoride, from what I understand, is a byproduct of agriculture. They didn't have anything to do with it, so they started putting it into the water because they said that it would prevent cavities. But apparently, I mean, it's really just making everyone dumber. And the more dumb they are, the more Democrats they put into office. So, I mean, this is another way that the Democrat Party, what they're going to start doing is they're going to start giving illegal aliens bottled water that's heavily fluorinated so that they vote for them when they're making their way up in caravans. So you give bottles of water to these illegal immigrants down in Argentina and let them walk up the entire landmass until you get to the United States. Hopefully you'll be dumb enough to vote Democrat when you get here.
Oh, man. I'm glad this is happening, John. I'm glad that these steps are being taken. Hopefully it'll happen across the whole United States. And we look at some of these things that are happening, like bioengineered foods and stuff like that, and get them out of our foods, get the poisons out of our foods, out of our water. It's so hard to trust anything anymore.
I mean, why is the government, you're 100% right. Why is the government allowing us to be poisoned? All right? Like, I mean, that's like, there is a difference we used to be so much better than Europe because we used to have all this freedom and we could do anything that we wanted. Then the only job that the government had, which is what make our country so great, right, is to protect the citizen. That's it. Your job is just to protect citizens, right? But at some point during our development, or at some point it changed to like this corporate, right? And the Democrat Party no longer is the party of the worker, the laborer, the middle class American. Now it's the party of corporations. That's who they serve, corporations and celebrities. Yeah. So I mean, that's really changed. And you look at Europe, and they don't allow a lot of this poison in their food, but we allow it here, and it's just, I mean, God, what a terrible way to. The government has been lacking for so long. It's really been malfeasant and misfeasant in its duty.
You know, trust in government right now in 2024 is at an all-time low in the history of our government.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is another reason why.
And for good reason.
All right, over in Arizona, John, 218,000 people who did not provide the state-required citizenship documents are on their voter rolls. And guess what? Their votes will count this time around. Here it is.
Now, this new data set, as they're calling it, brings the total number of people impacted to 218,000 instead of the 98,000 we first reported. These people were mistakenly marked as having provided documentary proof of citizenship. And Arizona voter registration database now has correctly flagged the impacted individuals. Election officials say they will contact the affected Arizonans with information regarding their status after the general election. That means for now, the Arizona Supreme Court's ruling is going to stay that impacted voters, that includes all of them, will still be able to vote.
I just laugh. I don't
we
know
talk
what else
about
to do.
we talk about voter integrity,
and I'll laugh. You know.
I mean, my goodness, we talked about election integrity all the time, right? In our last show, we talked about the 400,000 Oklahomans that aren't supposed to be on those voter rolls. This is 218,000 that absolutely 100% should not be on the voter rolls, right? There's no question. This is not a question of whether they should or should. It's not debatable. They should not. They have not proven their citizenship. So why would the judge allow them to vote just one more time? Just, vote. You can vote this time. We'll have to get it squared away at a later point. But for now, you can vote. I mean, it's a crime. These are all crimes. Our judges, our elected officials, they're all behaving like criminals. And it's, my gosh, at what point does it end? November cannot get here fast enough.
Yeah, and hopefully we get the right result in November. And I'm praying we do, John. I'm praying we do. All right, so over in Virginia, my bad. In Virginia, this Virginia school board was forced to pay $575,000 to a teacher who was fired for refusing to use trans pronouns. Isn't that nice? The West Point School District, John. The West Point School Board in Virginia agreed to pay this $575,000 in damages and legal fees to Peter Vlaming, a teacher fired in 2018 for refusing to use transgender students' preferred pronouns. Vlaming, a French teacher, claimed that his termination violated his First Amendment rights, prompting this lawsuit. After multiple court rulings, the Virginia Supreme Court reinstated his case in December, ruling that the school board had indeed violated his rights. And I'm glad to see this happen, John. I think more of this needs to happen. Enough of this nonsense, this silliness with these pronouns and this ridiculousness. It's got to end, and the court's got to put an end to it.
Yeah, I'm glad that he got his, $600,000. I think that these school districts need to pay. But this isn't the worst lawsuit that the school district can face. I'm waiting for a class action lawsuit, right, by the citizens of a county, of a school district, suing them for not complying with their constitutional duty to educate kids. At what point? How bad does the school district need to be in order to get sued for not actually educating the kids and taking the money, right? That, to me, is the real lawsuit that at some point in this country, at some point, is going to start happening. You're going to start seeing these lawsuits, by class action lawsuits by citizens suing the school district because the school district is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Forget these lawsuits, like the lawsuits that these Satanists are trying to do against school districts for implementing chaplain programs and prayer and stuff like that. The real lawsuit that they need to be scared about is the lawsuit when the American citizens start these class action lawsuits because they're not complying with their constitutional duty.
No, I agree, John. I agree. And we've seen that here in Osceola County with our school district and the different things they do besides what they're supposed to be doing. And it seems like you were the only one who was doing what they were supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, you will not be there after. When's your last meeting, John?
Well, I think October 8th might be my last meeting. I don't know if they're going to hold 2 meetings in October. I'm sure that they're going to try to avoid it.
Yeah.
So I think October 8th is probably my last meeting.
Right, well. I'm praying that we get another conservative fighter on that school board because we know that the majority is a bunch of crazy liberals, and it's not good for Osceola County at all.
And spineless cowards.
Yeah. All right, John, and to wrap it up, some good news to end the show. The Federal District Court of California issues a preliminary injunction on the newly issued law from Newsom on political misinformation. And he don't look too happy there, John. The court said the enforcement of California law against making election-related deepfakes and election-related, quote, misinformation, unquote, is unconstitutional. And it is. You know what I mean? This is ridiculous, and this is another way to stifle your First Amendment rights. You have the right to create memes and to laugh and joke on these people because they deserve it. It's one of your God-given freedoms, and you know, I'm glad the court found this to be unconstitutional because it absolutely is. Absolutely.
Yeah, political satire is protected speech. Political speech is protected speech. And I can't believe that we saw this. We saw that they were censoring Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. They supported this legislation. They even talked a little bit about it at the debate when they were saying that, you know, well, they're censoring. They say they like to censor. She likes to censor, right? They were talking about this in general, not about this piece of legislation, but they were talking about censoring in general, which is what this is. And then what happened? Tim Walz said, well, you're not allowed to scream fire in a theater. Those are two different things. You know, they don't censoring political speech has never been tolerated in this country. And that's exactly what this was. You didn't need to have a law degree to know that this was going to happen. This is 100% unconstitutional. You can't take somebody because you don't like what they're saying and say, okay, well, you're not telling the truth here or whatever. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion. And you don't have to be a finder of fact when you're having a conversation or go to jail. So I'm glad that this happened. This is great news. I hope that all of his laws get reversed because he's an absolute embarrassment to the history of our country.
Yeah, he is.
And to the state of California.
He absolutely is, John. And this is what the left likes to do. When they don't like what you have to say, they want to try and silence you any way they can. They tried to do it to you, John.
Yep.
The liberal members of your school board tried to silence you. They tried to get you kicked off the school board. And it's just a tactic that we've seen time and time again by the left. You know, when they don't like something, they want to get rid of it. When they don't like the Supreme Court, well, we got to get rid of it. We don't like the Constitution. Well, we got to get rid of that too. Every time they see something they don't like, and that includes free speech, they want to get rid of it. And this is why you see, like I said before, Democrats, longtime Democrats, leaving the party because of things like this.
Yeah, absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's a shame. But on to better things, right? We got until November. Let's make it happen. Let's get out there. Let's vote. Make sure that you're donating where you need to donate. Make sure that you're walking where you can walk. Do everything that you can. And that's it, right? We did it. We have 1 minute. So thank you for watching. On behalf of me, School Board Member John Arguello, my great friend over here, Citizen Tom Lord, we really appreciate you watching. Please like and share the show. Follow us each week. We'll be on here. So if you should have an invitation, make sure you're looking in Facebook or whatever for that invitation to like the page or to follow the page so that you get the notifications. Thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
See ya.